Good. Mhm. Let's check in. You know, coming back to coming back to earth after this Ramadan, and the world not looking the same, and it's like there's always this moment. This was a very unique Ramadan for me, I must say. And just the experience for me has allowed me to re-enter the world in a way, just looking at things differently, looking at myself differently and how I relate to others. Um, this ideal of legacy, this is a continuous conversation within the community, and just even within intimate circles and learned individuals that I work with and so forth. So it helps you to, you always have to keep this balanced state of being around the being present and the plan for the future. That you don't live your life so far ahead that you don't embrace what's happening right now. So it was good. It was just a beautiful Ramadan. It was really beautiful. So alhamdulillah, I'm grateful for that, and I pray that we all have an opportunity to experience it again and again and again, and to be expanded. Okay, I did unmute it. Let me try. Did you unmute me on your end? Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Yay. I'll rewind a little bit of it and just say that this Ramadan was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. It was a new experience. This was the first time this year that I can really say that this Ramadan was like no other for me individually. And I pray that we get an opportunity to experience it over and over again, because I feel like it's almost like you finally, for me, this my experience was, I feel like I finally cracked the code as to how to engage this month, in all of my living and experiencing Ramadan, how to show up to the month, showing up to the month to be transformed, not to get, but to be transformed, to surrender to what it is, right? And so I'm grateful for it. There's more I could say, but every time I talk about it, I get a little emotional, because it's just a birthing, and it was nice. It was very, very nice. Yeah. You went down now on Blog Talk. Now you went down. And now I can hear you. Yes. Yeah, but you muted yourself on the computer. Yeah, because I'm only using the Blog Talk mic, so I can hear you fine. you can directly unmute yourself on the computer. You see how the mic is crossed out on the screen? Mm-hmm. Okay. Try to refresh yourself because we need to be able to hear you. Okay. Mm. MashaAllah. Okay. MashaAllah. We still here. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Are you going to stay on this line before I start on here, just so I know? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Because I was wondering because you were still on the screen. So that was it. That's the only reason why I was asking. All right, got it. So we're gonna go for it. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum to our Blog Talk audience, as well as those who are with us live in the Facebook and on YouTube. Welcome back. Welcome back. I pray that your Ramadan was rich and full and transforming, and that you discovered new parts of yourself and how to engage this next go round, entering back into this life and into this world. I am so very excited for all of the evolution of the community as a mind, the evolution of the community as a body, and seeing the work and effort, and that people are maintaining this desire for growth, this desire for understanding, this desire for community and being with like minds and sharing with like minds. It's an exciting thing to see. We're here and we're going to be talking about just the closing of this intergenerational wealth, like this, expanding this intergenerational wealth. And as with me, every time, like I said, every time when we choose to get together on Monday, I'm so spirit led in deciding what to talk about. If I'm not given a straight on topic, like, hey, let's talk about X, right? I have to trust in my sitting that I will receive, like, okay, let's talk about this thing, right? And so what kept coming up for me is inheritance, right? Inheritance. This idea of wealth and inheritance. And after listening to the video, it makes sense, right? That there's this, the ones that have the concrete or material wealth are creating the laws to protect that. And those laws and those individuals with the wealth, it protects their values, their way of being, their way of thinking, right? It is protected through that. So we're already at a disparity, though we have caught up, though there's a great number of Bilalians, African Americans, indigenous people who have gained a level of wealth, but it's now next level of wealth. And this is what's so interesting about this thought that I had also. Just like, I'm trying to slow down my thoughts in this because I wasn't thinking to bring this up. uh the Billboard Awards happened this weekend, and I'm not hip to it or anything. I haven't watched an award show since Michael Jackson performed. Take that back. I think when Beyonce was pregnant with Blue, this might have been the last time and even in that, I think I just saw her perform. And in observing it, P. Diddy is now, he was the one that hosted. And then, of course, we know Chris Rock had been hosting. And, so we are now being entering into the fold of these institutions and award shows and so forth now, right? And I grew up in a time where it was just like that wasn't happening. We have streaming networks like a Netflix, like a Hulu, and they're very intentional about creating shows that appeal to its Black audience, right? And they call it the Black voices, all of these different things, right? So the thought that I had for me is like, it's like this, when you think about gentrification, and I don't know if that's the right word or not, but hey, we're gonna roll with it. Keep up with me on this idea that, why is it now okay for Diddy been in the business for a good while? Chris Rock been in it for a long time. Like, we have known them, whatever, right? Whoever is now hosting these different things and now running certain networks, it's like, why is it okay now to put them in the seat now, right? To ensure that our voices, quote unquote, I'm putting up air quotes for those that are on Blog Talk, for us our voices to be a part of the cultural conversation when we have been, moving culture all along. It's because they've moved out of that space. They moved, they don't need to be there anymore. Like, okay, we did that. And so now it's a whole nother game of wealth. Now we have not exceeded what that's it. They're like, yeah, y'all can have the studios. Yeah, sure. Tyler Perry, go ahead, get 90 acres and whatever and build the studio, big as Universal. And because we're no longer in that space. We're in a completely different league, separate and apart from, we want to win an Oscar, we want to win a Billboard, we want to win a Grammy, we want, like, they're not even thinking about that space anymore. It is a well-oiled machine, right? And in thinking about, when I have that thought and thinking about that, like, this is the same thing, start to think about wealth, right? It has nurtured a mindset to continue to build out the value system that was already established, to the point that we shift ourselves in a way to accommodate what they've already established. Like, we can't even come with something full on original unless it's following this blueprint that was already laid out. Let's say, oh, you want the Oscar? Create movies like this, and this, that follow this blueprint, that does this music that follows this, right? Art that looks like this. Even though there's a whole underground network of artists, music, painters, authors, everything else that challenge the mindset of what has already been established, and they're lucrative and they're doing well, but we may not know of their existence through this public eye or through the Grammys and the award, the award shows that have been established, right? So I say this to say, like, when we think about this inheritance, right, and we think about this ideal of generational wealth, it's not about blending into the spaces that were established, because at the root of certain established entities, they have a value system that you can't weed out unless you tear it down. You just can't weed it out. It has to be completely deconstructed. It has to be completely, decolonized. It has to be completely down to its root work in order to build it up from a wholesome, whole space, an authentic, genuine truth that makes all of us in this space considered, right? So this inheritance, this ideal of inheritance, I say that because we are so adamant about the material, which I always indicate by saying, yes, get the money, yes, build the real estate, yes, create the investments, yeah, all of those things, do it, yes, 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 and yes. But in the midst of doing that, let's not lose life, living, relationships, establishing these core memories. And so I think about this my Ramadan experience, right? And what happens in Ramadan, like I know that I'm very conscious about how conscious now about how I move financially, and the amount of food that was in my house, it was ridiculous. Like I always had food, and we were only eating suhoor and iftar, but there were multiple days within there where I was with the community where we were collectively eating. Someone brought a dish, or a family chose to cook for the entire community, right? So even though there was food in my home and then I could cook for myself, there was a shared economics that was happening throughout the month of Ramadan. And we were praying together, and we were sharing, we were all riding on the same energetic movement, the energetic movement of worshiping Allah, of really sharing a vision. We even had this moment where we opened up this conversation with, the young adult community to share their experience as Muslims. And so even in that was a prayer and an exchange in a very collective space. So this behavior that we were in during Ramadan is really like a glimpse of the possibility of what shared economics looks like, of what it looks like to be charitable, of what it looks like to collectively come together to feed the homeless. There was a sister in our community who were making meals for the homeless. And, I knew I didn't have the time to be available on those days. But what did I do? I sent her some money to make it easy and to benefit from her effort that she put forward to create these meals and giving out to the homeless. So it's like, what kind of community can be built if we built it on the foundation of what happened during Ramadan? And I wasn't even looking to even express and have this conversation in this way, but it still goes back to the ideal and the concept of, there are three things, that are benefit us in our death. Let me see, I have that hadith here. So it says, the messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, the best of what a man leaves behind are three: a righteous child who supplicates for him, ongoing charity, the reward of which reaches him, the knowledge that is acted upon after him. Like, this is the blessings that we have access to, right? And this access to these blessings, like the charity is not limited to just the money. The charity is a part of how we access the gifts that we have, the abundance that Allah has given us, right? We have access to that gift and we can be charitable with that. So when I think for myself, I could be charitable as a teacher. I could be charitable in providing rides to the elderly. I have a resource that I can give to the community if it's not by way of money, right? If I didn't have money to help the sister out with providing meals for the homeless, then I could say I have time. Like, okay, look, I'm gonna come by and I'm gonna be here for 2 hours. Let me help you prepare these meals, or put them in my car. I'll take 10 of them and pass them out for you. There is something that I have available to give in charity, and the benefits of me giving of myself in this charity, it benefits me beyond this life. That is an inheritance. That is an investment. That is legacy, right? When I think about the gifts to my nieces and nephews, like these are the moments that we give in this gifts and an inheritance, right? So let's not limit it to just the dollars, because one thing, so much to say about this ideal of inheritance, because I love this idea of how we can expand our thought process of how we give, right? Is, to me, it's a very colonizer mindset to just limit it to the money, right? And we get so afraid because our human wants to be cared for. Our human wants to be secure. Our human meaning, when I say our human, I mean our flesh, right? We want a comfortable place to live. We want food. We want our needs met, our human needs met. We want clean clothing. We want healthy and access to food. We want to have a place to rest our head and be protected from the climate and the environment. We want, there are things that we want. So right now we live in a time where that requires money, that requires a sense of income, right? And in this need to have those things, we can't help but to think about, are my children going to be okay? Are my grandchildren going to be okay? Are, all of these things. So we have not, as Bilalians, have not been given the luxury of having a 50-year plan. We have not been given the luxury of 100-year plan, right? And there are, our counterparts have had the luxury of thinking, because we don't know if our lives will be taken going to a supermarket. We don't know if our lives will be taken being pulled over by the police. We don't know if our lives will be taken in, inner city violence or what have you, right? We don't know. We don't know if the medical system will care for us properly in the process of giving birth. So our brain has not stretched. It's just now, this generation, our brain is just now getting the ability to stretch itself to have the 10-year, 15-year plan. But we're talking about generations who have had 100-year plan beyond their living. So now we're in a place where we have to unlearn this idea that we are not to have this 10, 15, 20, 50, 100-year plan. I didn't write this hadith down, but I believe it is one by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and said, plan as if you're going to leave tomorrow, but you live as if you're going to transition tomorrow, but plan as if you're going to live forever. Right? This is inheritance. This is that plan. This is that coming up with the structured idea, right? So this knowledge, we as a community are still thriving off of the inheritance of the Imam Rahimahullah, his lectures, his books, his transcripts. There's an unfolding that his language that we have benefited from. And as a result of that benefit, it has opened up a world for us to live independently, to be an independent people that will allow us to not have the dependence of this government, the dependence of, what the concrete, material world. We are supposed to have a piece of it. Not, I'm not going to argue that in any way, shape, or form. We are supposed to, but there is a way to engage it, to grow it, to reap the benefits of it, that allows us to have the abundance, not just in this life. So yeah, everybody talking about what Elon Musk is doing. Okay, yeah, great. Good for you. But what I do know is that Allah will give you all of the things in this life, and there will be nothing waiting for you in the next. If you're not careful with this wealth, right, with this wealth that Allah has generously made available to us, in the Quran Surah 3, ayat 180, it says, "And let not those who covetously withhold the gifts which Allah has given them of his grace think that it is good for them. Nay, it will be worse for them. Soon shall the things which they covetously withheld be tied to their necks like twisted collars on the day of judgment. To Allah belongs the heritage." That's the way it was translated, was heritage. "To Allah belongs the heritage of the heavens and the earth, and Allah is well acquainted with all ye do." So Allah gives you a gift. It's not yours, whatever that gift is. I had this conversation about being a parent, right? My child does not belong to me. My son does not belong to me. It was a gift from Allah. Allah gave me a gift. And in giving me that gift, I have to release him out to the world in order to be a benefit and value to all of humanity, not just a benefit and value to me because it feeds my ego to just know that I have a son to send me a Mother's Day card. Like, what are we doing really here? What are we really doing here other than honoring the gift that Allah has given, nurture it, cultivate it, grow it, and release it to the world so that it is of benefit to all of humanity. And that is your legacy. That is the inheritance that you give off to humanity that will live beyond your body in this life, beyond your existence here and now in this life, right? This is why I say, like, I had got to share this beautiful experience, and I know my time is coming close to an end, but here I had a beautiful, overwhelming, significant emotional event where my father found a letter from my grandmother to me that she wrote to me on my 13th birthday. I don't remember, and I don't remember ever receiving this letter, right? But in this letter, and me reading this letter, I knew that this was a mercy and a blessing and an abundant shower of blessings on her, because it came at a time that I needed that message that was in that letter. And it has completely changed the trajectory of everything that I do. And is she not receiving the benefit and the blessings of such a moment that Allah inspired in her mind, on her heart, on her hand, with every letter that she wrote, that she will be blessed? But it was only from her obedience to Allah and receiving that inspired thought that she executed that inspired thought, right? This is legacy. It's worth more than there's no dollar amount. There's no dollar amount that can be attached to that single solitary moment that Allah inspired. Write this letter. You may not know when this is going to reach your granddaughter, but when she gets it, she'll get it, right? And this is the life. This is the richness of this life that Allah has given us, that every moment and every opportunity for legacy is in something as simple as being obedient to the ask. The obedience to the ask. So when something is asked upon you that is for your highest good, that is for the best parts of you, that's a gift. Nurture that gift, because that is your legacy. That is your inheritance. That is what will live beyond you in this moment. This moment, right here, right now, this recording, I don't know who will come in contact with this 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, but I beg Allah that in me being obedient to showing up and sharing this information, that whoever comes in contact with it, that it will benefit them so that it may benefit me beyond this life. Listen, it don't get no better than that. Like, it's juicy good to know that you're in a position to give beyond just this material world. Yeah, get the material world, but we already see that the economy is changing and shifting. If you're investing all of your energy into what you can consume, how many deeds you collect, how many, cars, or how many houses that you have, how many stocks and bonds, okay, get that. That's fine. But if that's all you doing, how many hotels can we get with our family name on it? How many this, how many that, how many this? Okay, that's such a small component. Are you keeping a journal of this Quran ayat means this, 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 this? I learned this, 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 this. Are you writing that down? Have you created the book that records those du'as, those prayers, these moments and experiences? Have you written down that opportunity of when you healed from a illness and what you did and how Allah's miracles showed up for you, so that they can really see in a tangible way, look, I've been working on this, that, and the other. And now here you have, and then they see it and they go, oh, this is why I'm inclined to music. Oh, this is why I enjoy education and teaching and this, that. And it gives them a blueprint to complete the job that you started. It's beautiful, my people. It's beautiful. It's lovely. That's the wealth in real time. That's the wealth, right? So let us look at what we have in us, because the translation of when Allah speaks of this gift within this ayat, this term of gift is also translated as bounty. Bounty. Your gift is bounty. It's an abundance, right? So this abundance is your gift is the abundance. Your gift is the wealth, right? So we have to identify what that thing is and give it away. Nurture it, polish it up, make it stronger, make it bigger and better, and give it away. Because that is the inheritance that will follow you beyond this life. That is your rocket ship to the moon. That is your $1 million move, right? Because it'll feed you here and now in this life and give you all of the things that you need, as long as you continue to give it back. So with that, I'm going to stop, because I can keep going. I'm going to see if the imam is still in the room. Yes. Okay. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You didn't unmute yourself.
I was using some of your language. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you still muted. On Blog Talk, you're still muted.
You got me so excited. You got me so excited.
There you go.
I forgot to push all the buttons, right? So I started out by saying what you say. I see you, boo. I see you. You coming through. You coming through. All right. So it's good. Life goes on. And so Georgetta liked that statement. I got it too. It said, welcome back with the juicy good, right? Alhamdulillah. That's good. So we're gonna have to stop partying in here and keep sending the information, right? Alhamdulillah. Abdul Shahid says that he agrees with the truth of Camila's words. The power people have established values set in music, movies, etc. I look for and pray for Bilalian power people to move into those areas and establish new, sincere, and beneficial inheritance for society. Alhamdulillah. And we say to that, Ameen. Ameen. Alhamdulillah. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm going to have to push on, sweetheart. And we're going to do what we do. All right. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. So alhamdulillah, so beautiful. There's one statement, one statement. Uh, uh, Camila was talking about tearing down, tearing down in order to build up the proper foundation, and the idea of decolonizing your decolonizing your mind, and particularly decolonizing your mind from the wrong culture. And that's it's right in line with what must be done, what we are doing, and it's a long term. She knows about the cathedral mind. The cathedral mind is, a mind where one generation starts and they know that the job's not going to be finished for 100 years, but each generation pledges the subsequent generation, and that's what you see in the Quran. When Jacob, told his sons, what are you going to worship after me? And each one was saying that we're going to worship your God and the God of your father, God of your father, and continuing that. So, so I'm back to the battery issues too. My God, mashallah. Hey, I gotta plug this up so we won't die in the process. Hold on. I don't know what the magic bullet is for these batteries, because you use your phone all day, etc. It's like, come on, it goes down sometime. But mashallah, let's not focus on that right now. So let me go ahead and share this so I can put some frames around what I have to say, because it's like Camila was saying, there's just so much. And in fact, saying to myself today, earlier, that okay, so what are you going to focus on? Then I had to remind myself and get to that point of clarity to say, look, everything is connected with everything. Whatever you talk about is going to be a part of the whole. So you have to just share what you can share in the time that's available to you, and what comes through, what people receive, that's alhamdulillah, that's fine. Because there's always going to be more to be said. The job is not going to be complete tonight. So let's go ahead and continue. Now, the cornerstone of our conversation is this comment from Imam Muhammad, rahimahullah, and we're picking up where we left off March 21st, this year, just before the Ramadan break. And so we're starting right where we left off. And so read this quote from the Imam. He says, as long as we sense the loss, he's talking about the lost identity and the need for identity. He said, as long as we sense the loss as a burden, it will be a problem for us. But if we can ever confront the loss with our rational mind and try to dispel the darkness in that situation so that we can understand it, it will not be necessary for people to go back to what they were in order to have a sense of their identity or a sense of freedom or a sense of an originality. It is only necessary that they confront it with their rational mind and accept it, explore it, and examine it so that you will know it and understand it. Then you can either try to reconstitute that life, or you can say it's not worth it. Begin where you are in the reality that you are in, as the reality of as the realm of your reality. All right, now let's go a little bit of detail in that. That's from a 97 address the Imam gave here in Oakland. So let's walk through that a little again. So the Imam, the focus that the Imam is saying is that, look, the big part of our issue and our problem is not having a stable identity. There's other information there. I talked to you about Dark Man, the original movie Dark Man. That movie Dark Man is about us. Just period. Go back. I'm talking about the Liam Neeson original. Just that. Look at that. Think about Bilalians. You'll get it, right? Because they already got it. That's why they made the movie. They said, truth is stranger than fiction. So they make a great movie. Just talk about what happened with Black folks in some measure. And the comedian, you gotta remind me, that one, where the little Black girl was the only one that could get pregnant, and they had to try to protect her, and the same guy that was 12 years a slave, and then also the other guy was in that. Children of Men. Yeah, Children of Men. That's another one. That's about us. Seriously about us and saving the world. So the point is that the rest of the world already knows who we are and how precious we are and how special we are. And mashallah, look, I'm gonna have to get into this whole culture wars thing and all these other things, because like Camille was saying, it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna get shot going to a supermarket, right? So I mean, you can get shot in what they got, the Deer Valley or whatever it was, where Milwaukee Bucks thing. And then there was something else that happened most recently. It said somebody's supposed to be targeting Taiwanese, a church attack where they were targeting Taiwanese. So it's like, world, yeah, it is crazy. But we need to understand that craziness, because that craziness is is manageable, quote unquote, from a rational psychological perspective. It's not. It's like, whoa, there's absolutely no explanation for it. No, yeah, it is. There's an explanation for it, and it's probably, once someone who understands it explains it to you, it's much more simple than it is. Let me try to help you, and I'll keep going, because these are things you can look up in the meantime, because I know your heart needs some settling, and your mind needs some settling in relationship to this craziness. But I'm here to tell you that I mentioned it some time back. It's like, look, when the election time, when that 2024 election thing comes up, by the time we get there, it's going to be crazy as The Purge. And that was already a setup. That set of movies, that was all that was a setup to bring about the kind of situation that we're seeing right now. Do not think that I'm tripping, right? I know you don't, but I'm saying I just need to emphasize here. I'm saying you got to take it seriously, because it's crazy. I saw an email that said that someone, there's someone, I don't have the full heading of it, that's targeting Northern California mosques. That is, there's someone doing something to Northern California mosques, and it says that they are targeting Northern California mosques, right? So I mean, if you got an address on some mosque list, okay, well then that mosque list can become a hit list. Now you can get scared if you want to. That's on you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in charge of everything. So, but the point is, tie your camel and trust in Allah. That's the thing. All right, so let's go back to what the Imam's comment, because it's all of this stuff is wrapped up in identity. Wallahi. And I guess I need to go ahead and say, it's like, I know that I'm gonna have to carve out some time, and I don't feel like doing pieces and pieces of stuff just constantly. I need to just get it off my chest, get it off my mind, get it out of my archives, because much of the stuff I've been working on for years. I mean, you can go all the way back to 2010. That's a minimum, right? Snap right off the top of my head. It's like, yeah, I remember I did this talk, the triple threat between politics, the media, and business, the triple threat, right? Corporations, politics, media, and corporations. That was the triple. That was back 2010. So now here we are, 12 years later, and there's just more of the same, and it's ramping up, right? Less and less of it is being hidden in terms. Oh, we don't know. He's a lone wolf. He's disconnected. Oh, he's just an alienated individual. No, hell no. It's a unified, social media based, delusional rationale that's being sold to people who have bought into that tunnel and that channel of thinking, and they're living in the world of their delusion. But that delusion is coming out of their bedroom and coming out of their living room and into the supermarkets and murdering people. And I'm telling you, we did a khutbah some time ago about the culture is a murderer. That was years ago. When I say years ago, I'm gonna say 7 or 8. Culture is a murderer. And it is. So you talk about culture wars. So there are cultures that are at war. There are cultures that are at war. So understanding what is being weaponized by the cultures that are in this battle, and where does that put you and I as Muslims and as Bilalians, those of us who are, that's critical to understand. So I'm saying that to say I may wind up doing some like a 3-hour, at least a 3-hour presentation. I don't know. I can't see doing it justice without doing it at least on a 3-hour basis, and do it via Zoom, because it's much better for sharing other types of media as opposed to like StreamYard or something like that. So I'm just putting it out there so you know what's coming. So the only thing that I would say, those of you who are regular in touch with me and ACU, a Clear Understanding Institute, and you know how to get to me, and you have some things that you're locked into, and you don't want that time to run up against that, I'll give you a shot at telling me, hey, look, Imam, don't do it on this day or at this hour on this day, because I want to be able to get to it. So I'm giving that license to those of you who are in touch with me in that way. Just tell me what would not be a good time for you. Okay, you can choose to do that. If you do that, then good, I can take it into consideration. If not, mashallah, then it's going to be what it's going to be. And I need to say that because it's pressuring me. So, and I know it's therefore pressuring you. It's like this world will make you crazy if you don't have an ability to metabolize these crazy headlines. And I'm using the soft word, crazy headlines. The other word is, yeah, you already know it. Moving on. So the Imam said, as long as we sense the loss as a burden, this loss of identity, it will be a problem for us. But if we can ever confront the loss with our rational mind and try to dispel the darkness in that situation so that we can understand it. So he's saying, like, there's so much behind me. It's so much of a problem behind me. The history is such an issue for me, and there's so much darkness there, so much that I don't understand. So the Imam is saying, until you get that, until you metabolize that, it's going to be a problem for you. And in subterranean, subconscious ways that manifest in dysfunctional behavior, that is what's still operating in the psyche of most Bilalians. It's like, now, why would we do that? Why would a person do that? Why would we do that? Why would we do that? Talking about these killings, right? I was looking at an article today, and the person said, yeah, and rightly so. I'm not on the subject right now, but this is an anecdote factoid related to this, and it is a legitimate thing that we need to understand. Okay, horrible, evil, malevolent murder that took place of those 10 people in Buffalo, New York. But the article also points out just one of the cities, Philadelphia, I believe, was the city that he used. It's like 531 murders in Philadelphia in 2021, which essentially were black on black murders. Their issue was, okay, how come the FBI don't show up on that? Y'all already always ready when it comes to this white on black, boo, 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 whatever their language was. And this is a Caucasian that's saying this. It's all good. That's why it's going to take 3 hours to kind of unravel some of this. But that was just one city. So you got Philadelphia, Chicago, Los Angeles. Try to find out how many black on black murders have occurred in those cities. And where's our uproar? Where's our, now forget about the white people. Where's our uproar about that? Right? So it's like, what? I mean, yeah, that's the issue, right? And so unraveling that, so we have to understand that, because this black on black violence, Will Smith, Chris Rock, okay, this black on black violence, which is just it's just kind of like we've been inured to it, because that happens all the time. You know, gunfire is just background music in our community. It's like, I'm saying all this because that's a byproduct. That's the continuing reverberation. That's the intergenerational element that still haunts us, literally and figuratively, in this society right now. We need to understand it. We don't understand it. We don't. We need to understand it so that we know how to reply to it. So the Imam said, it will not be necessary. That once we can dispel the darkness in that situation, we need to know what was done to us in a sober way. This is what he said. Let me just keep reading what the Imam is saying. It will not be necessary for people to go back to what they were in order to have a sense of their identity, or a sense of freedom, or a sense of originality. Now listen, Farad Muhammad, he understood this about our psyche. He understood that about our inheritance. He understood that about the intergenerational problem of the quote unquote Negro mind. So he fabricated a myth. He structured a myth. He structured a story. He structured a narrative that was designed to blow our mind. And it did. And it continues to blow minds today. The purpose being, you talk about decolonize, it was actually the destruction of the Negro mind, the destruction of the Negro mind. And then it was replaced by a synthetic al-Islam, a synthetic al-Islam. And I've used this analogy before, and I'll use it right now. A heroin addict who wants to get off of heroin, so stop using heroin, but then they're given methadone. Being given methadone, they don't have the same quote unquote issues that they have with heroin, but you got to keep using the methadone in order to not have the problems that are a part of not having literally kicked the heroin habit. The beauty of the Nation of Islam, of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the message of Farad was that you had those people who like literally heard the message, took the needle out of their arm and stopped. I know one who is now a brain surgeon who was a heroin addict before Elijah Muhammad's message reached him. From heroin addict to a brain surgeon through Yaqub's myth. So it's like, I can't be mad at people who really think that that's what we need. That's what we that part of the party is over. It's not needed now. But I'm not also, I gotta keep covering this, you know, I'm gonna be who I am. It's like, look, for some people, getting a later version of it is better than whatever they had in the street. This is me talking extemporaneously. It's better than what they had heard. But I have to keep in mind the comment, not the comment, the revelation of the Quran. It says, shirk, associating partners with Allah is the worst form of oppression. So the shirk in it is the worst form of oppression. Yes, drugs are oppressive, gambling is oppressive, whatever. Loose living is oppressive, but shirk is worse. So balance what I'm saying in the fact that I'm But since I got my hoodie on today, let's call it freestyling. I'm serious though. I'm serious. But sometimes I have to humor myself to calm me down. So put that in balance. Put that in balanced perspective. So the point is that yes, we do need to have our mind decolonized. We do need to have our minds decultured, because we have been acculturated in a culture that's designed to undermine our going forward as autonomous, authentic human beings. So the Nation of Islam, in that original message, its intention was to get us back to our originality. So it had to blow our minds away from the earth. It had to blow our minds past the universe. It had to blow our minds back to the black man creating himself, spinning on his own timetable in an atom of water, right? An atom of water. I show you how much we didn't know an atom of water. No, but by the time you get to water, you're already talking molecules. But we ain't scientists. We're ex-dope fiends, right? If you say God was self-created from in triple darkness on spinning on his own timetable in an atom of water, hey, who am I? Who am I to say that's not it, right? It's better than what their white folks is telling me. The devil, so the point is that was one of those methodologies. So that was that methadone methodology that was used to get us out of that and start working us back to our own originality. That's the great, great, great blessing. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to stop talking like this until I die. Sometimes I think about it and say, man, no, no, because it is special. It is special. And it is the gift. It is the inheritance. It is Allah having preserved that for us, because nobody has gone through what we've gone. It is what it is. Nobody has gone through that. And those of you who didn't come through that door, it doesn't mean that you can't share in the blessing. I wasn't present 7th century with the Prophet and with Abu Bakr and Uthman and Ali. I wasn't there when that happened. I wasn't at the Battle of Badr. I wasn't at the Battle of Uhud. I wasn't at the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. I wasn't there. But I'm benefiting. I'm benefiting from what was brought by those who were. Don't make the mistake and don't let people rob you of your portion of this inheritance, because Elijah, come on, don't let them rob you. You already been robbed. You're gonna be robbed again? Come on. A part of what we got from that experience is that, yeah, we brought a little bit of street with us. You better. I mean, if you were there, it's like, look, Omar, you think Omar was street? Omar was street. Omar was straight gangster, right? In fact, he said, what's all this conversation, man? Let me go handle this cat. That's urban talk, right? What happened? Allah said, nah, I got something else for you to do. And when Omar became, and likewise with Hamza was a heavy drinking dude, man. Hamza was that guy. But when they start messing with his nephew, he said, hey, man, that's my nephew. You go see him, you're going to have to see me. Hamza was like that, right? Hamza, I think one report said I was beloved. No doubt, I have a problem with it. But it's like, yeah, I think he was drunk that day. That day when he slapped Abu Jahl or whoever it was, that was one of his brothers, cousins, whatever. It's like, man, it's like, so you had to have somebody that had some of that street. Hey, Malcolm, come on. It's like, so the point is that unique ingredient that comes from being that and then transforming from that, but bringing with you the excellence of that's beneficial to the mission. Well, that's what we have. That's what we have. All right. So So the idea is this sense of originality. We had to be blown away from and blown out of, and lose our mind that we had been given, in order for us to be gradually brought into that new mind. All right. That's what happened with Imam Muhammad, rahimahullah. That's what happened with Imam Muhammad. And so Imam Muhammad, even in this quote here, and this is during the time of the big Ebonics debate, during this time, it's the Imam has, mashallah, has had to battle with all the other ideas competing for the appetite for solution in Bilalian people. Bilalian, our term, mashallah. You should all embrace it. So he had to do battle with the Ebonics. He had to do battle with the Afrocentrism. He had to do battle with this idea of that, while at the same time keeping it and filtering it and processing it in the best way for application to a people with our peculiar needs and circumstances. It was a masterful job. Not only was he helping those people, he's helping all people on the outside, and then also reconciling it to the best ideas that this nation swears it stands upon, and showing us that Al-Islam is where you got your best material. Talking about Western authority, power, elite, scholarship, etc. You got your best material from Al-Islam. So the Imam is trying to get us to say, look, to understand, you have been given something even in your dark history. Dark because of the oppression upon you, but that pressure is like that coal being made a diamond. All right. And so that you have that experience, yes, but if you don't get the right interpretation of how and why all that happened and what does God have to do with it, if you don't get that part, you're not getting the whole message. So the Imam right here, he's saying, okay, this is what you need to do. Okay, look. If you're gonna do that, this is what you're gonna have to do. Okay, it's like you really shouldn't do that, but let me tell you what you gotta do if that's what you're gonna do. So the Imam says this. He says, it will not be necessary. If you understand, it wouldn't be necessary in order to find original identity, freedom, etc. You would have to do it. Next line said, it's only necessary that they confront it. What is you really need to understand the loss. Do you really understand the loss? It's a very easy rhetorical thing. We lost our name, our religion, our culture, our history, whatever. Mashallah, I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying, whatever you put on that list as the loss, right? So the Imam said, look, now, if you're going to deal with the loss, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to confront it, meaning you have to full face, clear-eyed, look, this is what really happened. Hey, Kunta Kinte, roots, all that. Was that the thing? Is that a true representation of everything that really happened, or is that a fictional depiction of some critical aspects of it? We're talking about people giving their lives over to something and giving their lives up for something. It should be the truth. It should be the truth. It shouldn't be, I like that story. No, is it the truth? Okay, so you have to confront the loss. Now, then the Imam goes down his list of what you have to do if you want to do this with regard to that loss. He said you have to confront it with your rational mind, accept it, explore it. What? The loss. It's like, were things that we had, no, we lost it. Mashallah. So sorry for our brothers, the sons. I mean, it just kind of fell. Somebody's got to lose. But mashallah, the sons lost. Hey, I can see that. I can really sense the pain you have to feel, right? Maybe it's something like when the Warriors lost to LeBron and the Cavs after being up 3-1 or something like that, 3-0 or something, and then they come back, boom, whatever the year was. my memory fades. In any case, it's got to feel like that, right? At least. So that it's a loss. It was a loss. You have to accept it. If you lost, you have to accept it. You can't go on. Oh, it's like whatever. I guess that's out of my mind too. Trump and the January 6th move, right? Stop the steal, the whole lot of stuff. You lost. You lost. It's a loss. You got to take that L. That's what. No. And that's where the craziness continues to evolve from right now. And craziness evolves from whoever doesn't accept the reality of their loss. You lost. Okay. Confront it with your rational mind, not with your delusions, not with your rationalizations. Accept it. It happened. Did it happen? It happened. Accept it. Now, accept it, confront it with your rational mind, explore it. Don't cherry pick facts and circumstances, situations, individuals, personalities, points and moments in time, and say that's the whole thing. No, you got to deal with the whole thing. Accept it, explore it, examine it, so that you will know it and understand it. This is, mashallah, so it's like many people don't get the Imam, mashallah, Allahu alam, but there are many who do. Alhamdulillah, all due respect to those who do. When you mistakenly think of what the Imam is saying as like rhetoric, no, it's a recipe. You got to do what he said do. If you take a minute to do what he says do, you say, oh, that's what happened when you really do what he said do. Yeah, that's what happens. Okay? And that's what he's saying about this. Accept it, explore it, examine it so that you will know it and understand it. Then what happens? Then you can either you try to reconstitute that life. What life? The life that you've identified as once had but now lost, right? Okay, so there's some people, Bilalians of whatever stripe, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Whoever's looking at the dealing with what we have to deal with. It's like one of the things we have to ask ourselves, what do you have in your mind? What do you have in your vision, in your worldview, and your perspective, and your perception? What are you seeing as the world we're trying to get back to? It's like, okay, we lost. Okay. Exactly what was it that we know we lost? We know we lost a lot. But now we're talking about examining it, rationally exploring it so we can know it and understand it. So tell me, where is this place that epitomizes and in the best and most accurate representational manner the place you're trying to get back to? Where are you trying to get back to? And tell me, what was this place? When was this place? And where was this place that you're saying we are fighting to get back to? Now, if you understand my question, you got to be able to say it is, I'm just going to throw out something. Ghana, 15th century, whatever, West Africa. That's what you're trying to get back to. I just use anything. You use whatever you want to use. But you understand what I'm saying? It's like if somebody is pushing you to get back to something, you need to know, okay, where are we going? You don't just jump in the car or jump on the bus. It's like, yeah, we're going. Okay, I didn't notice a sign on the head of the bus. It's like, where are we going exactly? It's like, come on now. This is what we're saying. And this is what the Imam is saying. And to conclude his statement here, he said, to understand it, then you can either try to reconstitute that life. Because once somebody tells you this is exactly where we're trying to go, you can look at it and say, nah, I ain't trying to go there. And in fact, there's such a place that you're talking about describing, it doesn't exist in reality. It only exists in your mind. It only exists in your heart. All right? Not a bad thing. Beautiful, aspirational, wonderful. Even the America that people are talking about as America, the America that most of them are talking about don't even exist. Actually, aspirationally, yeah. Trust this. Trump's America, and I'm using it that way, Trump's America is not the same America that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or any current Bilalian with rational, sound, moral spirituality that they aspired to. It's like that America, it doesn't exist. The one they're talking about don't exist, and the aspirational America doesn't exist. But which one are you willing to spend your time, energy, and effort to try to realize and actualize? That's critical, because there are people who are making those decisions as we speak, including the supermarket shooter. So he said, the Imam said, you can either reconstitute that life, or you can say it's not worth it. That life. We want to get what we want to achieve, the great aspirations, the deepest aspiration, the most profound aspiration, and particularly those aspirations that are endowed into us from the creator of our very nature and our being and the creation of the creation. And he has in our nature and in the nature of creation a destiny that he has for us. That's the destiny that Muslim believers want, and that's the destiny that Bilalian Muslims want. We want that one. Well, the Imam answers, how do you get that? Begin where you are, or the reality that you are in as the realm of your reality. Stop fantasizing about some long lost mystical place, African or Arab or otherwise. Start where you are. One of our great quote unquote Bilalian forefathers, they say, lower your buckets where you are. You looking for water? Lower your buckets where you are. Come on, I'm going to conclude on that point, and we're gonna move on. So, come on back, Haja. You spotted up? You here? All right, it's good. We about to check out this bird. Take your speaker out, and all right, alhamdulillah. So that's it for me. What you got?
I think that the last statement you made is so severely important about drop your buckets where you are. Like, if we can hang on to really understanding what that means, it is about the being present. Lay your brick, right? In you laying your brick, it creates the ease for those that come after. Do your full part. Mm-hmm. Of where you are right now, as opposed to, well, America's not doing this. Well, how are we ever going to? That's not your business, right? How Allah does it is not your business. Your business is yours. Like, what Allah gave you to establish is where your work begins. And it frees, in my mind, it frees up a great deal of anxiety and stress and fear when you seek to master your role, master your craft and your understanding and where you are now, because what you do and give back of that gift creates the ease. Like, the best way that I could think of it is even like with the women that I work with, like, my generation has the luxury of understanding this ideal of self-care, self-love. This is a new phenomenon, right? And when I speak to the elder generation, that was not this luxury of being like, I'm choosing this for myself. I'm not choosing. It was like, this is what was taught to how we do these things. But they were so adamant on creating educated women. MGT, GCC created a mind that says, look, you still got to do for self, sis. Like, you have to be firm in your femininity and in who you are as a woman in order to be, on the lines with the men who are out on the road doing what it is that they do. So it gave us a level of security in knowing that, yeah, there you do have a role to establish. We received a message today from the imam about motherhood, this ideal of motherhood and the importance of that, the natural part of motherhood, not just in the birthing process, but the natural nurturing leadership and authority that's given to women as leaders, right? And that can only come from a space of identity, knowing who you are by way of how Allah has established us being able to show up in the full. So show up as who you are. We don't have to tell men how to be this, how to do that. That's not your, be all of the woman of who you are that Allah has established. And in doing so, it forces the other parts to come into alignment for us to create this fullness of the community that other generations after will have a visual understanding of, oh, this is the mind, this is the community. Yeah.
Right. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, and as a closing note, this whole baby formula shortage thing, right? It's
That's
like,
deep. Yeah,
women they've lost all their breasts. What's up? The supermarket ain't open. The
let me tell you,
supermarket.
the media will tell you whatever it is that you want. They will tell you whatever it is that you need to know in order to move the meter in the direction, because we're having this conversation about quote unquote baby formula while having the conversation about reproductive health, while having the conversation of Roe v. Wade, while having, so it's all of these conversations.
And then all the movies with women at the heart of it. Yeah. Good and evil women in these main movies that are out there. Go ahead, close out. We got to go. Go ahead.
Which main movie? Tell me, because I may or may not have seen it yet.
I've seen all of them. I've seen I've seen whatever dude, Stephen Strange, that guy, and
who the Strange?
Strange, this Marvel comic cat.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother. Yeah, but we're in this whole idea of the multiverse. This is a conversation. This is the thread conversation on all of the video, movie, that, or the other. Have you seen Everything Everywhere?
Yes. I saw all that.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, all these are just setups for us. We're gonna have to just do pure shows on that, right? You got that Everything Everywhere. That's what also the Northman, that's got a crazy woman element to it, meaning, the weird warping, blah, blah. And then there's so many others. So let's go. We got to go. MashaAllah. We'll get back to it. Inshallah.
Yes.
All right. Love you, baby.
Love you more.
Assalamu alaikum to all.
Everybody.
See you next time. God's peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
It's gonna be